A miracle. I used the front cocking serrations and my hand is still here. I know, let that sink in. Take a moment, watch these messages. We'll be right back. For whatever reason, front cocking serrations cause a lot of controversy on the internet. I have no idea why. I just don't. But in order for me to be more efficient, which leads on my journey to be more proficient, I discovered front cocking serrations along the way. And I was introduced to these by a phenomenal local shooter, Steve Zerwas. Steve, if you ever come across this video, credit to you for kind of opening my eyes to front cocking serrations. And how it started was I was in the market, getting into 3-gun, getting into some USPSA, but mainly 3-gun, and I wanted to improve my handgun game. And I was talking to Steve, who is a grandmaster shooter, and he was explaining to me how he does his slide lock reloads. And the technique that he was showing me was you insert a mag, roll the gun into your open hand, grab the front serrations, pull back, let go, and roll the gun back into your open hand and move on. And for me, that was kind of like a light bulb moment. I was just like, man, that makes so much sense. My name is Dave Tim from Guns and Tactics. Thank you guys very much for checking out this video. I do appreciate it. If you like the content that you're seeing, please make sure you hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Get the word out so we can get the channel to grow. We can do more and more stuff. A lot of you have requested more range videos, so here you go. This is going to be part 1 of 2 on kind of gun manipulation, handgun manipulation. Today we're talking about front cocking serrations or front slide serrations, and in the next video we're going to be talking about racking versus the slide stop or slide release. So make sure you check out that one as well, and you can see the playlist. And in fact, depending on when you're watching this, there may or may not be a card up there pointing to that next video. And if you're wondering about which gun I'm using, it is my Danger Close Armament Glock 45. I'll throw a card up there as well, kind of going over my review, but this is a phenomenal gun. And then the optic on it is the Trijicon SRO, which is currently under review. So that's a little bit about gear, because usually I get asked a lot about gear. So front cocking serrations, what they are is literally, they are cocking serrations, slide serrations that mimic or mirror the rear serrations, but they're on the front of the slide. Now, what I like about them is just what Steve showed me when doing slide lock reloads, is that I can simply have the gun out, insert my mag, roll the gun into my open hand, manipulate, roll the gun back, and present on target. And it just makes so much sense. Now, the other techniques that are out there versus rear, slide serrations are insert the mag, come over the top, pull back, come back out, and we have all of this wasted motion, wasted movement, inefficient. And it's tough to be proficient when you're inefficient. You could also simply open up the hand, grab the rear serrations, pull back, drive forward, which if you don't have front serrations, the default is very similar. It's very backwards compatible, if you will, versus over the top is not a good technique with front serrations. Now, why are people critical of front serrations? Number one, they'll say, well, you're putting your hand closer to the business end of the gun. And yeah, technically that's true. However, the majority of the time, I can't think of a single time that I'm going to manipulate the gun in a hasty situation where there is a round in the chamber and ammunition in the magazine. Most commonly, it's going to be when the slides lock back to the rear because of an empty magazine. And if you'll note, look where the serrations then move to. So instead of being forward towards the muzzle, they are now further back. And you can see the dynamics definitely change there a little bit. Additionally, if I had a stoppage, so we go to fire, we get the dreaded click, tap, rack, assess, drive on, whatever you want to call it. Again, something happened to where that round didn't fire. It was a fail to fire, a fail to feed, whatever stoppage it was. But again, there's not an immediate danger because that round didn't do something. And yes, am I moving my hand a little bit closer towards the muzzle? Yes, I am. Now, in an administrative setting, unload, show clear, after your training session at a match, whatever it might be, you're going to remove your magazine, and then I'm simply going to open my hand, my reaction hand, grab the front serrations, pull back, lock the slide to the rear, and then I can move on. It's a very slow and deliberate action. I can take my time. Every match, every training class I've been to, there's never been a race for who could unload and show clear the fastest. And usually if there is, it's when people have issues. The other thing with the advent and more commonplace of optics, I find that it's easier for me to use those front serrations, because then not only am I grabbing the front serrations, but the bottom of my hand can also push against the optic housing depending on which optic I'm using. You could certainly grab the optic and the rear serrations, that's fine. What I want to avoid is I see people doing this kind of thing a lot, and then when they do this, they block the ejection port, which I don't think is good. Plus you could smudge or damage your glass depending on what type of optic you have, whatever. So I'm not a big fan of that. Not a big fan of necessarily grabbing the optic itself. The serrations are, in my opinion, a must, and pretty much all of my working handguns will have front serrations. We'll just do a quick proficiency standard. It's just gonna be one reload, one from the holster. You could do it from the low ready, on target, whatever. I like to get a practice draw stroke in and kind of see what my first shot times are. I'm trying to be under 1.5 seconds consistently, closer to 1.25 seconds. If I can be under 1 second, even better. Sometimes, you know, days are better than others. But it's just gonna be one reload, one, and I'll first demonstrate using a traditional racking the slide method and just see what their times are with that. We'll do that a couple times. .144 with a .244 reload, total of 388. .139 first shot, .228 reload for a total of 367. .143 first shot, .221 reload, 364. So we're kind of in that 3.25 seconds on average. So now let's do the front serrations and we'll see what our times are with that. .326 for a total time. 121 first shot with a .205 reload. So that was a 130 first shot with a .227 reload, total of 359. That was a 125 first shot with a 199 reload, 324. That was a 120 first shot with a 195 reload, 315. That was a 125 first shot with a 198 reload, a 323. Now for me, it's more, again, about efficiency and redundancy. I like the fact that when I manipulate the gun, whether I'm doing a simple press check, I can look down and see. I don't have to worry about blocking anything. For stoppages, for emergency reloads, it's all that consistent, same kind of thing, and it works with our hand. One of the other aspects that Dave Spalding taught me is that when you grab something, you grab it with your hand. Never do you come over the top like we do with a slide. So it just kind of makes sense to grab the slide, whether you're using front serrations, rear serrations, whatever it might be. Generally speaking, when we were to go pick up anything from anyone, we don't put our arm out like this to grab that. Now, I started to try to do some research, and this whole technique came about as a gross motor skill. Insert the mag, over the top, pull back, let go, and it kind of makes sense. But for me, depending on the size of your hands and slide, it might be easy to block that ejection port. That's just my thoughts about front serrations, why I run them. I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you do, please hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And if you have questions, make sure you are submitting your questions to our monthly QA episode. You can email us at theqa@gunsandtactics.com, and every month I answer your questions and we give away some prizes too. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great day. We work really hard to make content that we hope you as a shooter would enjoy. Subscribe to our channel, check out our featured videos and playlists, and if you have a question firearms related, go ahead and send an email to the address shown on the screen to be entered into our monthly QA series.